morning, good evening, or good afternoon, and welcome to Across the Pitch. My name is Phil Kennedy. I'm here with Tony Robinson, and it's evening now for both of us. If you already listened to our Accrington versus Bristol Rovers preview, that was recorded this morning. I think it's, about 9 hours later now, Tony?
Sounds about right, Phil. I think I'm closing down 9 o'clock, so if that helps.
So I've been in the basement drinking coffee for 4 hours again, and I'm ready to talk about all of the results that happened in League One here on Tuesday. We had a full slate of 12, so we're just going to kind of run down the list, and then we have a couple games we went on depth last week. And our surprise of the week. But before we do that, as you know, from time to time, I like to test Tony's knowledge in some various trivia games. And if you've listened to our Accrington previews lately, you know that we recently did Pirate Ship or Not a Pirate Ship.
Pieces of 8.
And Tractor or Not a Tractor. Well, for this episode, I have something where I think Tony might do a little bit better on this one.
I can't do any worse than the last two, Phil.
And this is actually inspired by your rapid fire. And so today's game is called Oasis or Blur. Woohoo! I have a list of 4 Oasis songs and 4 Blur songs.
Oh, no.
Well, we'll start with an easy one, Tony. I think that you'll probably be able to tell me who's saying Wonderwall, Oasis or Blur.
Oasis.
You got that one. All right. Song number 2.
Blur.
That's Blur. That's the woohoo. That's that song.
Yeah.
All right, you're 2 for 2, Tony. Don't look back in anger.
Oasis.
That's Oasis. You're on a roll, 100% so far. Champagne Supernova.
Oasis.
Yes, Oasis. 4 for 4. Are you going to get all of these?
No. Keep going.
All right. How about Girls and Boys?
That's got to be Blur.
That is. You're 5 for 5. Country House.
I'm going to go Blur.
That's Blur. You're 6 for 6, Tony. 2 more to be 100%. Cigarettes and alcohol.
Well, that sounds like Oasis.
That's Oasis. You're 7 for 7 now, Tony. So here comes the last one. Park Life.
Blur.
Blur, you got it. And since you're 100%, we'll do one more bonus round. Coffee and TV.
Blur.
You got it, Tony. 100%. Woo! You know your 90s Brit pop. Tony, you win it Across the Pitch refrigerator magnet.
Oh, great. It'll go with the other 2 I got on the fridge.
Or maybe a poster from our new sponsor, Afloat Posters.
Afloat Posters. Now, you can get top quality, high gloss, full color infographics from Afloat Posters featuring all of the clubs from your favorite league, including EFL League One and USL Championship. Afloat Posters also has infographics featuring defunct historic leagues and even new infographics featuring past and present teams from your hometown. You can get 3 different sizes of posters at Afloat Posters, starting at just $8.99 US. And now, you can save 10% on anything at the website, afloatposters.com, using the promo code ATP10. That's ATP10. Just enter that code at checkout for 10% off at Afloat Posters.
That's some exciting news here on the show, Tony. We have a new sponsor. And have you looked at any of those posters yet?
Yeah, they've got some great posters of League One and all different sports and teams from the past. And Yeah, I think there's some really good products there, and looking forward to checking them out in more detail.
Absolutely. And since this is our League One preview show, we should definitely let people know that you could get a League One poster that has all of the League One teams. Is available in 3 different size, high quality, full color print. And the best news of all is with the code ATP10. That's ATP10. Alpha Tango Papa 10. You can save 10% on anything on the entire website at afloatposters.com. That's AFLOAT posters.com.
I'm all for saving money, Phil. You know that. Okay.
Well, let's talk some
Yep.
football, Tony. And the matches on Tuesday kicked off with a 1-0 Bristol Rovers win over Shrewsbury. And Bristol's a team that after they got off to a slow start, they've really been on a run. Shrewsbury, they're struggling as we kind of expected they would. So I don't think this was too much of a surprise here.
No, I think I agree. I think it was a fair result, and based on the standings and the form of both teams. So yeah, I think that's a pretty decent result.
Yeah, and Tony, this is something we should probably just mention for each game, and maybe you want to keep track of this and put a check mark in one column or another. This was where Bristol Rovers, they had a 44% shooting percentage, 4 of 9. Whereas Shrewsbury only had an 18% shooting percentage, 2 of 11. So this one is a check mark in the column we expected, where the team with the better shooting percentage did get the victory.
That it sounds like it's on the lines what we've discussed previously. So bang on.
All right, next up on the list was Portsmouth against Gillingham, and Pompey took that one 2-0 on the road. And to me, it seems like Kenny Jackett has gotten the Pompey on track. What would you say, Teddy?
Yeah, I didn't see a lot of that match, but it's a good result for them. And after the weekend, I didn't think their performance on Saturday was that great. The one they lost to Doncaster. So obviously, good for them to rebound, because we all know that if Pompey has 2 bad matches in a row, then the fans let everybody just go nuts on social media. So good result for Pompey.
And with this one, Pompey was 7 out of 15 shooting, 47%. Gillingham was 3 of 10, 30%. So far, we're 2 for 2 in the column of the team winning the shooting percentage battle, also winning the game.
Very good. On a roll.
Now, moving forward, we have our highest scoring game in terms of both teams scoring multiple goals. That was Oxford United against MK Dons. And we had Oxford getting a 3-2 win. What did you think about this one? I think that we probably both expected Oxford to win, but I think 3-2 is kind of a score that you don't really see too often in League One.
Well, it's a much needed win for Oxford, of course. They needed that, drastically. And really, it's still a concern, because although they scored 3 goals, they conceded 2 to MK Dons. So I don't think overall a good result, but I don't think Carl Robinson will be happy that they conceded 2. But it got them out of the bottom 4, so maybe they'll kick on from that result.
Yeah, absolutely. And once again, looking at the shooting percentage here, we're going to have another one where the team with the better shooting percentage won. That is Oxford, 7 of 13, 54%. MK Dons were 2 of 8, 25%. I think it's worth noting that both shots at MK Dons did get on target, managed to find the back of the net. Simon Eastwood, he didn't make any saves. Looking at his season statistics, He's faced 27 shots, only made 16 saves, 59% save percentage. He's allowing 2 goals per game. Compared to last year, he had a 70% save percentage, allowed 1.17 goals per game. So, what do you think maybe is causing Eastwood to struggle like this? Do you think that it's the defense in front of him, or do you think this is a situation where maybe Oxford needs to look at the backup keeper?
No, I don't think so. I think it's more a confidence thing. I think it's really throughout the team. We spoke earlier about a hangover for Oxford, and I just think when you watch them, they just don't seem to have the confidence. And when they concede a goal, you can really see how it affects them. We all know as a keeper, you've got to make a save, but the confidence is a big tool for them, as well as the shot stopping ability. And I just think at the moment their confidence levels is high. And as I say, this could be a one to kick off with. And I mean, if on the next match, if they concede more goals and play poorly defensively, maybe the backup keeper come in and can be a boost for the overall team's confidence.
Yeah, absolutely. Now let's move on to the next match here, which is Sunderland against Crew Alexandra. This one was at the Stadium of Light. Sunderland got the 1-0 home victory. And if you've heard us talk about Sunderland, I don't think there's anything surprising about them getting a 1-0 victory. I mean, that's pretty much Sunderland's recipe this year.
Yeah, they've only scored 7 goals, only conceded 1. So really a typical Sunderland result. The thing is that you can't keep winning those 1-0 because all it takes is one shot, and then you drop 2 points. So I'm sure that they'll be concerned about the defensively they're not, but I'm sure they're concerned about the lack of goal production, and that's something that they'll need to address if they want to move further up in the table.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that might be surprising is that Sunderland did attempt 20 shots, which is a lot for them because they are a team that tends to get ahead and then park the bus a bit. Charlie White did score the only goal very late in the first half. So in the second half, you kind of expect they would have been parking the bus a bit. This is another one in the column of the team that won the shooting percentage battle, also won the game. Sunderland at 35%. They did not get to our 40% target number, but it was better than the 35%. Was better than the 25% that Crew Alexandra had. So far, we have looked at 5 matches, and all 5 have been won by the team with the better shooting percentage. Next up on the list is our sleeper team of the year, Lincoln City, getting back on track with a 2-0 win over Plymouth Argyle. George Grant, who has absolutely been on fire, had another goal. It was on a penalty kick. Tony, what are you thinking on this one? You think that this is a matter of Lincoln getting back on track and showing that they are that legitimate sleeper?
I think so. I mean, the Plymouth Argyle is a team that's really doing well, better than some people expected. But still, with the Lincoln start to the season, I think they expected to win that, and they are scoring. And as long as you 12 goals in 7 matches, as long as you keep up that pace, you're gonna win your fair share of matches. And they've only conceded 5, so they're full value for where they are at the moment, Phil.
Absolutely, Tony. And taking a look at our shooting percentage battle, Lincoln was 8 of 19, 42%, which is right at that 40% mark that we want to see. Plymouth, 22%, 2 of 9. So far, we are 6 for 6 on clubs that won the shooting percentage battle. also winning the match. I think we're onto something with this stat, Tony. What do you think?
It sounds like we know what we're talking about.
Next, we have a posh team for posh people, Peterborough United, getting the 1-0 road victory at Wigan. I think this, again, is just kind of not a surprising result. Peterborough, they're a team that we expected to at least make the playoffs. We know everything that Wigan's going through with the financial difficulty. They have mirroring records, if you will, where Peterborough is now 5-0-2. Wigan is now 2-0-5. So I think this is about what you expected to see here. Johnson Clark Harris, the $1 million striker, he got on the board for the Posh. Any surprises for you here, Tony?
No, I've just, I mean, they've won 4 in a row, Peterborough, so they are getting into form. I'm just a little disappointed in Wigan because after 2 wins, they've lost 3 in a row, and I really had higher expectations, but it's still early yet, and we're not. I'm not in a position to write them off yet. But I think it's a result that doesn't surprise too many people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other thing you look at is with Johnson Clark Harris, he's got his 3rd goal of the season. He's really starting to kind of come into form, and he's a guy that they brought in to replace Ivan Toney. And if he gets anywhere close to Toney's production, Posh are going to be hard to beat this year. Looking at shots on target, we're going to go 7 for 7. Because Peterborough had 38%, 5 of 13, compared with Wigan's 30%, 3 of 10. So once again, the team that won the shooting percentage battle also won the match. And now we're going to move forward to we're just going to quickly touch on this because we talked about it at length this morning. Accrington Stanley over Fleetwood Town 1-0. I only want to mention this and that this is an outlier game and that the team with the better shooting percentage did not win this one. Fleetwood shot 50%. Accrington shot 23%. And the funny thing is, on the last show, remember the AFC Wimbledon match that we had talked about where they had beaten Swindon Town 1-0. That was the only match that the team didn't win the shooting percentage battle last.
Right. Yes.
Well, here's what's very interesting. We said that game was kind of decided by a hot keeper, Connell Truman, who managed to stop all 6 shots that he faced on his way to being named to the League One Team of the Week and keeping that 6-save clean sheet. Well, guess what we have for Accrington Stanley? None other than Toby Savage stopping 6 shots, 6-save clean sheet on the way to goalkeeper of the week. So basically, it seems like there's 2 ways that you win a football game. It's either shoot the better percentage or have a hot goalkeeper.
Yeah, and we talked about Stanley bringing in Baxter from Chelsea, and that seems to have
little fire in his belly.
Yeah, I think not that he was playing. I wouldn't say he played poorly, but I think he's really stepped up and really showed why he's playing in net over Baxter. So a good game from Toby, and congratulations on him being in the team of the week.
Absolutely, yeah, that was a great win for Stanley. Now let's move on to the last game that we're going to talk about quickly before we get into the ones we're going to go a little bit more in depth on. This is a game that over here in the States we would refer to as the Toilet Bowl. In a sense that, it's just 2 very, very poor teams. In this one, we had the Dale getting a 1-0 win over Burton Albion. Burton Albion dropped to 1-1-5, where we won't talk about who the 1 was against. Rochdale improved to 2-1-4. This one was at Burton, so I think Maybe the only surprise here would be that Burton took the loss at home. This was one of those games where this is going to be a 6-point game in the table, if you will, down the stretch. These are two teams that are going to be in the relegation fight. What I've learned from this result kind of is that I think Burton is in deep, deep trouble. They're really missing Nigel Clough at this point. They probably are going to be in that relegation unless they make some big changes. Rochdale, on the other hand, they, along with AFC Wimbledon, they're just kind of those little engine that could teams where every year they seem to manage an 18th, a 19th, or a 20th. And, I think Brian Barry Murphy is a guy that just kind of knows how to claw out those points, and that's what he did here.
I think Rochdale, after their performance against Stanley, I'm really not surprised at the victory. I probably would have picked maybe a 2-0 win. I would have probably predicted that, but I think based on what I saw of Rochdale, I think that's a good result and fair result for them. Burton Albion, after their victory over Stanley, have just simply just gone downhill, and they're going down so fast they're sinking like a stone. And they're going to have to turn it around defensively because they've conceded 15 goals. They're at a -7 goal difference, and you can't survive in this league, with that defensive record.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're spot on. And Burton's always been known as one of those kind of scrappy teams that's able to get the most out of it and get those 3 points, but they have to get them. And to me, at home against Rochdale, that's 3 points that Burton needed, and the fact that they didn't get it, that tells me that they're going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
Well, let's quickly look at our surprise game of the week, Tony, and this was one where we both. This is a double surprise. We both agreed on this one, and that was 4-1 Doncaster over the Tractor Boys of Ipswich Town. It's funny, a few weeks ago, I had actually pointed this match out as the one that I thought would be Ipswich's first major test. And so I'm not surprised Doncaster got the win, especially at home. I don't think anybody expected him to get 4 goals. Last week, we talked about how rare 4 goals is. This week, Doncaster was the only team to get 4 goals. So last week, we said anytime a team gets 4 goals, that's a bit of a surprise. Do it against Ipswich, who came in top of the table and had conceded almost nothing all season. And that's got Howard Dean screaming his head off.
Well, and that's Ipswich's first loss on the road. And so I think obviously people expected a tighter result. I would have looked at that one as possibly a draw, or if a whole win, it might have been 1-0 or 2-1. But Doncaster, they're right now they're sitting at +6 goal difference. Obviously, those 4 goals that help, but they're a team to be reckoned with. And I think the surprise really was the convincing win, the way they did it over Ipswich.
Well, absolutely. And one thing I forgot to mention is Rochdale did outshoot Burton Albion 38% to 11%. So that one was another one in the slot of the team winning the shooting percentage battle, winning. The Ipswich Doncaster one, this one actually ended up being an outlier. Ipswich had 4 of 8, 50% shooting, where Doncaster had 4 of 11, 36% shooting. The main thing that jumps out at me here is I hear Doncaster had 4 shots on target and 4 goals. So that tells me that Thomas Oley he had a really rough day in net and just kind of fell on his face. Joseph Bursick, who Accrington fans will be very familiar with, he had a nice game. He stopped 4 out of the 5 shots that went his way, but it seemed like, Thomas Ole, who had been so strong all season, he really let the Tractor Boys down in this one.
Well, you lose 4-1 and you're still second in the league. It's still a good position for Ipswich. I think the way they come out on the weekend is going to be a real test for them to show whether they are a true contender or whether they're whether this, like they've done in the past last season, when they had that loss at Stanley after going undefeated for a while and then started to slide a bit right out of the playoff picture. So this weekend will be a test for Ipswich to see which path they're going to take.
Without a doubt. Now let's take a look at Northampton versus Swindon. Now this was an interesting matchup here between two teams that really are going to need points. They're going to be down at that lower part of the table fighting off relegation. Ended up 2-1 in favor of Northampton. This one just barely, but it still counts. It goes into the slot of the team with the better shooting percentage. Northampton outshot Swindon 31% to 30. That was 4 of 13 compared to 3 of 10. Tony, what were your thoughts on how this one came out? I'm personally not too surprised.
No, I'm not, because Swindon have a terrible road record. And so if you look at this one, two teams that are really expected to be down in the bottom regions, you would have to give the edge to the home team, and that's the way it turned out.
All right, Tony. Now let's go with one of our in-depth ones here. That was Blackpool and Charlton, and this one was at Blackpool. It ended up 0-1 in favor of Charlton, and last week we kind of talked about how big of a trouble Blackpool seemed to be in, and it just doesn't seem to get any better for them, does it?
Oh no! I mean, they had a player sent off in the second minute of play, and it was preventing a clear chance on goal. And I think the legs got tangled, but the player went down, and it's the only call the referee had to make, unfortunately. And I believe the player had just come back from a suspension and didn't even break a sweat and was off the pitch. Now, the referee did, I won't say even it up, because the second yellow card he gave to the Charlton player was definitely a yellow card, because it was almost a rugby tackle. And really put it down to 10 against 10. And two teams that, I think Charlton, we expected to be a mid-table team. It's just that we expected more of Blackpool, and they just aren't. Yeah, they're just not scoring, and they're just defensively they're in a mess.
This was just an ugly game all around. I mean, you talked about the send-offs, and then just looking at the shooting percentage, this one does go, it's the third one that goes into the column of the team with the lower shooting percentage wins, but it was awful on both sides. Charlton shot 7%, 1 of 14. Blackpool 13%, 1 of 8. I mean, that tells you all you need to know. I mean, this was just, I can't imagine that anybody that watched this game on iFollow felt like they got their 10 quid worth out of it.
No, I think this was like a hot potato. It's like, no, you take it. No, you take it, because when you get the stats like that and 2 players sent off, this is not going to go down as a classic by any means. And really, just it buries Blackpool down in that bottom 4. And they've got some struggles, and they're going to have to turn it around quickly. Not only defensively, but they're going to have to start scoring. So they've got a lot of work to do at Blackpool.
Absolutely. And now let's look at our last game, and that would be the team that went back to the top of the table, Hull City, getting a 1-0 win at home over AFC Wimbledon. That made them 6-0-1 on the season. Is the ninth of 12 games that was won by the team with the better shooting percentage. Hull had the 45% compared to 11% for AFC Wimbledon. So we're 9-3 for teams that won the shooting percentage battle. I think really looking at things here, the only thing that I'm kind of surprised about is that Hull didn't win by more. I think you have to have Connell Truman, who we talked about earlier. He played a role in that. He stopped 4 of the 5 shots that he saw. So I think Hull probably beat Wimbledon by more than the score shows.
Well, and I saw some of that match, Phil, and I got to tell you, I felt that AFC Wimbledon could have come away with a draw on that one. They had 2 to 3 chances that don't count as shots on net, but 2 of them were clear within the 6-yard box where they put the ball wide that they should be putting them on target, and at least one of those should go in. So Hull was, they won 1-0, but I think the match was a lot closer than people expected, really. And I got to give a bit of credit to AFC Wimbledon because I thought they deserved something out of that match.
Well, absolutely. I think the AFC Wimbledon, like Rochdale, has shown, like they do year after year, that they add up to more than they look to be on paper. But speaking of Hull, let's go straight into our predictions for the upcoming match on Saturday. And I think that the biggest match here is got to be Hull versus Peterborough. I mean, there's I want to say 3 huge matches, but based on the fact that Hull is top of the table and the form that the Posh are in, I think this is the game of the week right now. What do you think, Tony?
Well, yeah, and we'll talk about the next one, but there's 2 really excellent games, Hull, Peterborough, and then you've got Lincoln, who's in third against Ipswich as well. But on the Hull Peterborough match, this is going to be, on paper, it should be a good match. If you look at both teams, both, I would say right now, Peterborough might be going in with a little bit better form or a little bit better play based on the last match. And Peterborough, as we said, are just firing on all cylinders, really. And Hull, I think, can play better. So this one really, this one's going to be should be a good match, and it's a hard one to call.
Well, I think that the folks at DraftKings.com, they agree, because when you look at the line, Hull is favored, but not by much. It's just basically, to me, I look at this as a pick'em or an even line, with Hull getting a little bit of advantage because they're at home. Plus 148 for Hull, plus 170 for Peterborough. So that means, if you bet 10 quid, you win 14.80 on Hull. 10 quid wins you 17 on Peterborough. So, not too much of a difference there. You can bet on both teams and have either one of them win and, still come out ahead. The draw is going at plus 245, which is, it's right near that plus 250, where it kind of tells me that they think one team or another is going to win, but they're not sure which one. I'm going to say that that's going to be the Posh. I think that plus 170 actually might be a decent line to throw some money at. I think that they're in good form, and I think they're the kind of team that can put up enough goals to beat Hull. I think Hull is good defensively, but I don't know if they can score enough to keep up with the Posh. So I'll go with Peterborough this one.
What do you think the line is? The score is going to be on that one then, Phil?
I'll go 3-2 to the Posh.
3-2 for Peterborough. Well, I'm going to go the opposite way, and I think it's going to be a tighter match than that, Phil. And I'm leaning towards Hull. and I'm going to go with a 1-0 victory. They're 3-0 at home. They haven't conceded a goal yet. Peterborough are 500 on the road. So I just got. I think Hull's going to nip this one, and I think it's going to be a close affair because two good teams, and I got Hull winning 1-0.
All right. Well, it'll be interesting to see because it's one can go either way, and the next one could definitely go either way too, which is Ipswich and Lincoln. This game is at Lincoln, and listen to this, Tony. Lincoln's a plus 165. Ipswich is plus 163. So they're going off at almost the exact same odds. Basically, what that's saying is a casino thinks that Ipswich is a little bit better than Lincoln, but because Lincoln's at home, that's going to draw the odds just about even. The draw line is going off at plus 225. So again, this is a casino saying, we have no idea what's going to happen.
Well, they're probably not too far off. I like Lincoln's home record, scoring, only giving up, conceding 2 goals at home, only lost 1 loss at home. Ipswich, decent road record, 2-1-1. They've conceded 6 goals. So I'm going to lean towards a Lincoln victory, and I'm going to give them a 2-1 edge.
All right, Tony. Well, I expected you to go with the Tractor Boys, but we're both on the same side of this one. I was going to pick Lincoln just because I've got to roll with them as a sleeper team. I don't think Matt Pierce is going to be real happy to hear that you picked them. But I'm going to go with the same thing you said. I'll go 2-1 to the Imps.
Okay.
All right. Now let's go to the massive bowl. Sunderland versus Pompey. This one's a little bit interesting because I thought that this line was going to be kind of similar to the last two, but we have Sunderland at plus 108, the draw at plus 220, and Pompey is at plus 265. Now, I mean, I'm not surprised that Sunderland is favored because they're at home. I'm surprised that they're favored by this much. So this, to me, screams bet on Sunderland.
Yeah, this one is a tough one as well. Portsmouth haven't lost on the road, and Sunderland haven't lost at home. So something's got to give. Well, you go ahead, Phil. I'm still
1-0 to the Mackhams.
You're going to go 1-0. I'm going to go a draw on this one. I'm going to say a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, I think either one of those are a likely scenario, but yeah, it just seems like the line just tells me that they think Pompey has no chance here. Well,
they've scored 6 on the road, so they can score. It's just that Sunderland. They've only conceded 1 at home, so I think it's going to be a low-scoring affair. And I'll stick with the 1-1, but you could be right with the 1-0 Sunderland win.
All right, Tony, let's do the last one here. We've got Oxford United versus Swindon Town at Oxford. This one is, to me, a little bit more clear-cut in terms of who should be favored. The line kind of reflects that. Oxford plus 114. The draw is at plus 230. Swindon is plus 245. And so I think the telling thing here is that Oxford is actually favored by less over Swindon than Sunderland is over Portsmouth. So I think if before the show, if I was to tell you those 2 games ahead, you probably would have thought that Oxford would have been favored by more than Sunderland. Is that a fair?
Yep. I think that's fair.
So that's where it gets into where the line is telling you something, is when something seems a little bit off from where it should, and that's kind of what I was getting at with that Sunderland line. And to me, the bet that I'm seeing here is to put your money on Sunderland because it just seems like, that the line is encouraging you to bet on Pompey. And To beat the house, you have to be the house. And right now it seems like the house is hedging their bets on the Mackems.
So what's your prediction for the Swindon match then?
Well, to get back to that one, I'm going to say I'll go with an upset in this one. I'm going to say that Swindon beats Oxford 2-1.
I'm going with a 2-0 win for Oxford because they did win that last match. Swindon are atrocious on the road. Haven't got a point yet. So after Oxford winning on on Tuesday, I should say, I see this as an opportunity for them to try and turn their season around. And Swindon is probably an opponent that's is just the right time for Oxford. So I'll go with a 2-0 win for Oxford.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have any particular reason other than, every week there seems to be some game that just goes the opposite way of how you'd expect for no particular reason. And this just feels like that kind of game for me. So that's why we go with Swindon.
Well, there's a fair chance whoever loses this match could drop into the bottom four, and you win it, and you could move up 3 or 4 spots. So it's going to be a key game, an important game. It's just that Swindon are in poor form right now, and I'm seeing an Oxford win from my seat anyway.
All right, Tony. Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens in all of these matches, as it always is. I think that was about all I had for today. Did you have anything else?
No, I think we've covered everything, and this, as we said, there's some some good matches, especially when you get the top 4 teams playing each other. There's going to be some movement one would expect in the battle for the top 2 positions. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting weekend, and let's see what happens come Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, we got some big games coming up, no doubt. At the table will probably look a little bit different by Sunday. Until then, Tony, on Stanley on.
On Stanley on. Cheers, Phil.
Cheers, Tony.